go. Right. There's Gary. Good morning, Gary.
What's going on?
Another Friday.
Yep.
Fridays are good. Just gonna give a couple more minutes before we get started. We had about 9 people registered for this webinar, so I just want to give everyone a chance to come in and
for sure
join us. And we have Kendra Maples. Good morning, Kendra.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good. I love that name. It's really pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Just give about 30 more seconds and then we'll get started.
Hi, Kendra. This is Rachel and Rebecca. They run the whole show for us. So
awesome. I am excited to see.
Is Ryan going to be joining us?
Ryan who?
Ryan McGuire?
No.
From Go Little Bird?
No, he was funny. He's almost like intimidatingly smart. Like we did our meeting and stuff, and he's like, "Yep, got it." And I was like, "Okay, I will shut my mouth now." So I think we're just gonna turn him on and let him loose.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was funny.
All
He's
right.
like, "Yeah, I'll take the training, maybe." And I was like, "You probably don't." Yeah, he was funny. He could see what it was doing real quick, and yeah, it didn't need a whole lot of education on the platform.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm going to turn my camera off and my mic off. Rachel is the master of this entire platform, and I'll be on in the background if you guys have any questions.
All righty. Great. So if you didn't catch it earlier, my name is Rachel Pratt. I am Vice President of Operations here with Bex, and I also co-designed the Databex platform. So I'm definitely the right person to reach out to if you have any questions about how it functions or what's the best way to do a search or how do you do a feature or work on something. My contact information is actually pretty much anywhere on the website on data-bex.com. It's on asbex.com. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So if you ever need to talk to me, you can reach out and I'll be around. Let's get started with the Databex platform. So that's what we're here today to see. We're going to look at the Databex platform. Now this will cover pretty much everything inside of it, all the features that we offer. It's not going to be a focused demo, so you will get a well-rounded idea of what we can do with this platform. Now, what we include in this platform or in our database is construction projects only in Arizona. So we just do Arizona at the moment. We are looking to expand at some point, but for right now we are in Arizona. It's about 5 years old. We started in 2016, so you'll see about a 5-year history in there. And we only track projects, major projects. So we're looking at a construction value of $5 million or higher. And that kind of limits the amount of resources and manual people to add into this database. What I mean by that is there's a lot of stuff going on and there's only so much you can track. So we picked a base level of 5 million, which kind of covers a lot actually. We actually focus on the private side more than we do on the public side, believe it or not. And with this platform, we're looking at projects earlier than later. So if it's hit the streets for, bidding, that's a little late for a lot of people. So what we've done is we've really focused on that early part of like things going in planning, things in design, and that sort of area. That's kind of where we focus. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's dive in. Okay, so on our dashboard here, this is our dashboard. We do have a little promotion going on right now where if you refer someone to Databex, you get a $350 wine dinner at Masteros. That does expire in, I think it's a week, on the 13th, yeah, in about a week. So if you want to take advantage of that, that is something that we offer. So here is our database platform or database dashboard. Now, you can see right away we've got these buttons everywhere, and there's a search menu up here. This is kind of like the main navigation for everything. There's a lot of different ways to search inside of the database, and we have 5 different ways to search for projects. So one of them is by details, meaning like the valuation or the market sector and the owner or the status. You can also search by a keyword. So we're looking for like CIP projects, or if you're looking for DBE certifications, or if you're looking for parking garages or something similar to that. We have a location search, which is our map search. This is actually a pretty cool feature, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. You can also look by activity, and that means activity within the database. So anything that's new to the database or recently updated, that's kind of give you a list of everything happening. And then this is a new one. This one's a timeline. So this is actually a pretty cool feature. When you look at the project profiles, and I will show you what those look like, there's going to be a timeline on them that shows you when things are in planning, when they're in design, and when they're in construction, similar to a construction schedule. And what we can do is we can actually search those bars or those timelines within each project to find timing. So you can look for projects that are going to start construction in August of 2021 to December of 2021. So you can get pretty specific about when things are going to be starting or ending based on what's inside of the timeline. It's pretty cool. I'll show you in a minute. We do also offer features within the database. So you can save your searches so you don't have to put in same criteria over and over again. And what that does when you save a search is it actually triggers another feature called our daily digest. And the daily digest will give you a daily feed of projects that fit your criteria, projects that are new to the database, and projects that are updated. So you will always get a refreshed list of pursuable leads coming in via email. So it's pretty neat. You can also follow projects. So anytime things are happening within the project, we have, right now we have 5 researchers on nothing but Arizona projects. So they search for projects and they update projects. That's all they do. And we have 5 people just for Arizona. So we've got a lot of people going, looking at documentation, making phone calls, sending emails, trying to keep up with everything that's happening on these projects from start to finish. You can also express your interest in a project to let everyone know that you're interested in providing services. And you can track notes as well. So you keep information inside of the database so that anytime you open it up, it's there for you. So you can keep notes on projects, you can keep notes on companies, anytime you talk to people. It's just a great way to kind of track things within the one platform. So we have a search by project keyword here. This is a save search option. Remember, we talked about save searches up here that triggers that daily feed. You can do that here. So you just give it a name. So we can say, I want to see all the projects that are, coming up on the CIPs. We put in CIP, we do a search, we get our results. And I'll show you what that looks like. But before I do that, I want to kind of cover here. This is a standing Databex webinar. It's going to cover everything that I talk about within the webinar, all the features. And in YouTube, it's time-stamped too, so you can go in and just look at for a specific feature. You don't have to watch the full hour of the webinar. And here we have project search, which takes you to the project search by details. We have companies, contacts, solicitations, and we have a map search, which is, the one that searches by location. Below here, we have the recently viewed projects to keep track of everything you've been looking at. So you looked at a project, you can't remember what it was, you forgot to follow it, you go in here, that's what it is, got it. And of course, at the bottom, we have our recently added projects. So you can keep up to date with everything happening in the database. So let's go ahead and start with a search. I'm going to go ahead and search by project details because that's kind of the go-to form that's got the most ability to filter out criteria. This is a save search option. So you just go ahead and click on the button, click on the checkbox, give your search a name so you know what it is, because when it returns the results to you, you're going to want to know, oh, that was my search for hospitality projects and planning, or whatever. you want to know what that search was. And you can have as many as you want. So you can set up like 13 of these, one for each market sector you go after if you wanted to, or you could put them all in one. It's up to you. But you can search by project name. So if you're looking for a specific project, this is definitely the way to do it too. You can look for all the projects by a certain owner, city, state, maybe in a zip code or even a different sector. So if you're looking for tribal work, for example, or federal work, that's an option as well. And this one's actually really cool. As a project, you either want this contract available, like the design contract available if you're a design firm, or you want the construction contract available if you're a GC. But it also helps for all the others that need to be talking to those design firms and general contractors. So if you need to actually have the general contractor on the job in order for you to pursue it, because that's who you need to contact, you make sure that that contract is not available, which means that that GC is already on the job and you can talk to them. Or with the design firm, the same thing. If you need to talk to the design firm before you get into the project, you make sure that that contract is already solid, it's already taken. The next one is project status. So now we're looking at timeline. So here's where you can look for who you need to talk to or if that contract is available. This is the timing of the project. So we can look everything from added to CIP, which is going to be your public side, as well as planning. We have design plan review for the private side. That's going to be when they're submitting documents to the design review board and or going through entitlements design. We can look for master plans as well. Phase completed, maybe something a phased project. We can go pre-construction, under construction, whatever works for you as your needs, you can put that in there, and that works kind of on the timing side. Now, market, we've divided into two separate kind of identities. We have horizontal and we have vertical. And in our world, horizontal is going to be anything built on the horizontal. So we're talking road work, highways, utilities. We're also talking about parks and rec, kind of built on the vertical. On the horizontal. And then we have our built structures, which are built on the vertical. So that's kind of how we differentiate between them. And then we have the actual markets assigned to them within there. So we're looking at horizontal is the parks and rec. Horizontal, we have utilities. We've broken it down into utilities that are wet, dry, solar. We have on the vertical side, healthcare, education, higher ed, K-12. So we do have a lot of options within the search by market. Now, here's a cool thing. If you search for vertical hospitality, it's going to pick up the hotels, restaurants, casinos, the resorts, restaurants, sports. It's going to pick up all of these. So you don't have to check them individually or open them individually or add them individually. You got them all in one vertical hospitality tag. You also have the ability to search by division. So if you're providing a certain division, you can look for that division specifically. And method of delivery, you can look for a method of delivery, usually if you're looking maybe for a specific project. And you can look for projects in a certain price range. Now, remember, all the projects in here had a base of 5 million. Now, there's a couple in here that are under 5 million because the valuation went down after we've already put it in. However, the base is for our threshold is about $5 million and higher. Now, if you're looking for big projects, or if you want to kind of put in a certain range, maybe your sweet spot's between 15 and 20 million, easy. You just type in 15 million. Oh, not that. And 20 million. There we go. And now it's going to bring those projects in between your sweet spot right there. And that works exactly the same for square footage. And if you don't want to put in a range, you can just put in a high or a low, and it works the same way. So let me think about, now that I've kind of gone through this, I want to think about what would be a good search for everyone on the line here. So we have, let's see, multifamily, I think probably be a good one for you. Okay, so let's search for multifamily, and we're looking for maybe we need to talk to the general contractor. So we want to make sure that that contract is already in place. And we're looking at maybe like a pre-construction phase or even an under construction phase, maybe pre-construction, and let's go with design. There we go, design plan review. So I'm looking at multifamily. So I'm going to go for vertical, and I'm looking for multifamily. Now, multifamily is going to pick up my apartment condos, my senior housing, and my student housing. Divisions, don't really have anything to put in there at the moment. And maybe we're looking for projects that are between 10 million and 50 million. And we'll do a search, see what we get. All right. So there's 96 projects that fit that exact criteria. These are all good leads for that particular search. Now these are, this is what we call a results page. So the results pages all look like tables. These are all downloadable, which is one of the reasons we don't give out free trials, because you can literally clean us out in one sweep. So we can download it as a CSV file. And what it does is it gives us the information here and a lot more. So I'm going to open that up for you and show you what it looks like. We got project ID, which is our internal ID, and I'll show you what you can do with that in a little bit. The project name, the owner, the valuation, city, state, zip, or sorry, city and zip, status, the market sector, square footage, and here's a cool one, design firm, and the prime contractor. Now, if you know anything about how to use Excel, you know that you can come in here and filter these. We can sort by, let's say, A to Z on the prime contractor. And now we can see, look at all these. BFL's got 5 of those multifamily projects between the valuations that I put in. So here is a great fit for you. You talk to BFL on one, you can talk to them on all of these. You can find out what the status is. They're in design and pre-construction, so it works, right? If you make sure that you put the filter criteria in first, you don't have to worry about filtering it later, which is nice. One of the other things adds in here is if you're following the project or not, and when it was last updated by our team. So that's a really useful way to kind of use this information. Now, this table is sortable, so you can come in and say, well, I just want to kind of find out, well, actually, you know what? Let's find all the ones in, let's look for Goodyear, for example. Lots of stuff happening in Goodyear, right? Okay, we've got 2 in pre-construction in Goodyear. And let's see, pros at Ballpark Village. We got Alliance Residential. Let's check this out. I want to show you what this looks like. I click on the details and it's going to open up a project profile. So right away we have a rendering. When they're available, we grab them. We really like to add a visual to these projects to help people kind of get an idea of what they're looking at, what kind of project it is. And then when you look just below that, we have a timeline. So right here we have our researchers came in, they found this project, they did their homework. They're estimating that construction is going to be starting in August 30th and ending in 2023, May of 2023. So that's the information that they gathered by all the documentation, the people they talked to, the emails and everything. Here's our today indicator. So we're right before construction is estimated to start. So we have a pre-construction status, and we last checked on this project on 8/2. So that was 4 days ago. We last checked on this project. And we can find out what happened when we look at the status notes. So per media sources on 7/27 of 21, construction is expected to begin in August of 2021 and to be complete in 2023 with some units available in the summer of 2022. Request to amend the pad for Ballpark Village and Ballpark Village South was approved at the 7/19/21 City Council meeting. So you can see we found this information, we put it into the database on 8/2. So that's kind of how that works. We had an update, which means that we got information that we were able to provide on the project and update it. And that was the last time we checked on it. So that's the difference between those two. Now, coming back onto the right side, obviously this is the name of the project. Here's that project ID number that I was mentioning. It's a 4-digit number. It's super easy to remember. And the really cool thing about it is you can pop it into this project ID search right here and instantly open up the profile and bypass any of those search filters. Here's how you follow a project. Click on Follow Project, the button. The eyeball turns yellow, you're not following the project. So anytime there is a status change, there is a contact that's added, there is a timeline change, anything that moves on this thing, you get an update. If there's an article added or a file added, you get an update, an email update letting you know what changed and a link to the project. You can also submit information to us if you have information about this project that we don't. You can add it, or you can submit a question and ask us to find something specific. On the job is kind of like, who's working on this, right? We got the people, we got the owner, we got the design firm, which is TriArc, and then the prime contractor is Alliance Residential, who also happens to be the owner. Here's the project details. $37 to $43 million, and we're looking at 342,000 square feet. It's an apartment condo as a market, and here we have the address, the northeast corner of Astoria Parkway and Wood Boulevard. The project description. So this is just going to be a brief project description to look at whether it's a yay or a nay on the go. So a new 360 unit multifamily development on 16.92 acres in Goodyear. If you open up the detailed description, it's going to give you more information. It's going to give you more details on that project. We also have a list of the divisions. Now we're just going to that first level of division, so it's not going to get specific about what's happening unless you go into the plans and specs. And here's the contacts. Here's the gold, right? Everybody wants to know who they need to talk to. We got that. We also stamped out who the prime contractor and the design firm is, so it's really easy to see. We also have their contact information. Here's the role they're playing and the services that they're providing. Now, sometimes it can be different. So maybe the architect is actually providing preliminary design services. So they're not the actual built architect or architect of record on the project. So we have to make sure we differentiate and be clear. Now, you can see when I hover over these that these are actually hyperlinked. These go to individual profiles or details of those companies and of the contacts. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. I just want to get through the profile. We have a map, it's interactive, pretty self-explanatory, and files. So in the files, what we're looking for here, articles. Now these articles are media articles that were published in the Databex magazine. So what we do is we literally pull them out of the magazine and we upload them into the project. So here we had one that we mentioned on 8.2. I can view the article from here, or I can download it, and you can see this one was published in the Databex magazine. So I can view this one, open it up, and there it is. So I get information about what was published. There's also a source to the original article, and you can view and download these. We also look for municipal documents. So we're looking at city council meeting minutes. We're looking at design review board. We're looking at planning and zoning, everything that in all these entitlements, anything that goes through the city, we're looking for that documentation because the documentation is going to have the correct information. It's not hearsay, right? It's kind of like a fact. So that's what we look for. We look for the facts. We also look for plans and specs. So we're getting those plans and specs in here. Any renderings that we can find that we add. And of course, this is the one that is actually on the front cover. You can see it there. So that's what we include with the files. And of course, if I come back up to the top here, on the right side, underneath that status note, that latest one we have is previous status notes. So we have a history of what's happened with this project. We have links and solicitations as well. So the links usually are links to a website that was created by the owner for the project, and solicitations. This can include sub-bid requests from general contractors. It could include, if it was a public project, like RFQs and a CMAR, whatever the case may be. Notes. Now, earlier I mentioned on the dashboard that you can add notes to projects, kind of keep a note inside of it. Anytime you open it up, it'll stay there, right? It's not going away. Another cool thing is you can share it with your team. So if you have like 2 or 3 people on the account, you can communicate to each other on a project, which is actually really neat. So you can say, I'm going after this project, share it, save it, then it sends your team an email with the note and a link back to the project. And they stay here too, so there's a record of it for you to reference. We also have a way to kind of link projects together. Often there's a master plan of some kind, so we have a way to say, okay, well, this is part of this project, here's the next part, and here's the another project that's similar, or however we link them together, we do it through associated projects. Now, interested parties has been a little popular lately. This is a way for you to communicate with all the other database users that you're interested in providing services on the project. So I can come in here and say, you know what, I provide, let's say, low voltage, and I'm interested in this project. I just put in I am interested. It refreshes the page. My contact information is now there for any database user to see. They just click on my name, it'll open up my contact details. And now you can email me, you can call me, you can find me on LinkedIn, my address, etc. That's what you'll see when you open up one of these people, these contacts, right? So Brett Anderson with Anderson Design, I can click on his name. It's going to open up his contact details. And check this out. Here's all the projects that he's been assigned to in the database. So if you find one like the Pros at Ballpark Village that we're looking at and talk to him about it, you can also say, you know, what's going on with Liv Levine in Cerro Queen Creek. These are ways to kind of connect you to other projects through another project. All righty. Now, speaking of connections and projects, we have the company profile, which you can click on from the hyperlink of the name of the company. So I'm deciding which one, Anderson Design or Alliance Residential. Let's go with Anderson Design. Okay. Now I actually think I should go with this one. Let's go with Alliance Residential. Let's try that one. I think there's going to be more here. So we have information on the actual company. We have a URL, what the company type is, with their logo, their office address as well. Here's the contacts that we have on, you know, these are just contacts that are assigned to projects. They're not going to be lists of everybody in the company. That's not what we do. We're looking for the people that are related to projects, the people that you need to talk to. So that's where we have their information here. Now, if you click on the details, it's going to open up all of my contact information and all of the projects that they're assigned to. However, if you keep scrolling, you're going to find some gold in their active projects. So these are all projects that are currently happening either in design or in planning or under construction. And you can see here we have a status sort, so you can see, okay, wow, these are all under construction. All the way up to here. So that's like 14 that is currently under construction. And they have the Pros, that one that we just looked at, in pre-construction. And there's a couple of duplicates here because there's multiple contacts from the Alliance Residential in here. So don't be confused by that one. It's just the one project. And we have some in design plan review. Now, if you click on completed projects, you can see we have all of these that that are already done. What's really useful with this is to see who they've been working with, right? So if I want to find out, well, what are they doing on, like, who did they work with on Broadstone Rio Salado? I can come in here and say, okay, yeah, see how the background's gray? That just means that the project is complete. And there's a little stamp there to help you see that. And here we go. So they worked with Caruso Turley Scott and MP Mechanical and MP Engineering, Kincaid Civil Engineers. So it's just a way to kind of get an idea of who they're working with. And You can also keep notes on companies as well. So just like on projects, you can keep them private, so only you see them, or you can share them with your team. Now, this doesn't go to everybody, so just keep it in mind. It's just those 3 users or 3 licenses that you have signed up for. So that kind of concludes the company profile. I'm going to jump back over to our project. So this is really a lot of information to put into one project, but we've kind of put it out there for you, and hopefully it's a great fit for you. So I'm going to exit out of this, and we're going to try a different search. So you can see that we do have the option to search companies, contacts, and solicitations as well. For the sake of just going through this and not taking too long, I'm going to go through project location and then timeline, and then I'll jump into these other ones real quick. So the map search is really fun. It takes a minute to load, but what happens is it's got a Google Maps integration, right? And it's looking for your current location. You might get the little drop down that says, "Can I use your current location?" You say yes. Then it's going to drop every single active project in the database onto one map, and you can literally like zoom out and see the entire state of Arizona and where all the clusters of projects are. Give it a second to load. It seems a little slow today. There is a way to pan the map too. So if you don't want your current location, you can kind of move it to Mesa, or you can put in an address as well here. You can filter it by market sector too. So if you're like, okay, I know there's a ton of projects out there, but I'm just looking for, let's say, healthcare. I want to see where the healthcare projects are. I can search, and it's going to filter those out for me. So here it is. These are all healthcare projects active, happening right now. You can see where they're dispersed, where they're clustered. Lots in Phoenix, obviously. See these little blue ones? These are indicating that I'm following the project. So I know I'm following the Manor at Village, Desert Ridge. But if I keep going up here, I can click on these markers, and it's going to pop up the name of the project, as well as the evaluation and the status. Now I can go to the project details or the profile by clicking on the full details. Another thing I can do is add it to a list. And what that does is it creates this custom list underneath the map. And say, yeah, I want that one, and I want that one, and I want that one. So let's do all the Mayo Clinic stuff. I want all of these in my list. Now, really cool thing you can do with this is, okay, I can download as a CSV, right? Or I can download as a PDF, and I have the exact 3 projects I need with lots of detailed information in a printable format. Here we go. So now I have the project name, the owner, the address, the state, the valuation, the status, the square footage, and the markets, all in one sheet that I can look at. And another thing you can do, and I forgot to cover this when I was going over the project profile, is print off the project. So you can print the project as a PDF, and it comes out in a nice printable format for you. It's got the rendering on there. It's got all the project details, the contacts, any solicitations, all the status notes. So it's got a history of everything. These are great for printing off and coming into meetings, right? There we go. So we have the project ID number. Here's the timeline in a table format to kind of give you an idea. We've got construction starting on the 1st or March 1st and finishing in August of 2022. Status notes, the contacts with their contact information, the map, the visions, and any solicitations. So that's pretty fun right there. I'm going to jump back over to my map. I think that this is actually really a fun way. You know, when you're driving down the street and you see like a construction fence going up and you're like, what is that project? This is the tool. I love it. It's like, okay, I know exactly where to go to find this information. That is the BGMC new tower Banner Gateway Medical Center. Bam, love that one. Okay. So now that is kind of the gist of the map search. I'm going to jump into the activity is literally new projects and updated projects. and a list of how they were updated. So newest is at the top. And then the timeline is our new feature. This one's still kind of in beta and it's exciting. But remember those timelines we looked at? These guys right here. So some of these have design and planning already in here, but most of them have the construction timeline if it's already established, just depending on the project and where it is in its stage of life. When we come in here, what we're doing is we're actually searching for projects by the timeline. So we're going to look for projects that start and finish construction by doing this. So I can go in here and say, I want to search for the construction stage. I can say, let's say I want to see all the projects that started January of 2021 and July of 2021. So I can come in here and do that. I can also do ones in the future. So let's say 2022, January 2022 to July 22. And I can even narrow down the market. Let's say I am interested in industrial projects and office and retail. I want to see what's happening in the future. Check it out. Voila. So we have 24 projects that are scheduled to start at that very specific time in those specific markets. That's pretty cool. And again, this is downloadable as a CSV or as a PDF. You can go to the projects from here. You can also sort by these as well and indicates whether or not you're following the project. So it looks like I'm following this one right here. So that's a really cool tool. Now let's jump into a company search. So this one's kind of cool. You can use it two different ways. If you work with a certain company or you want to maybe look up an owner, just type in the name, search, and you're good to go. Another way you can use this is you want to get information about all the, let's say, architects in Arizona that work on multifamily, for example. Or I've used multifamily already, so let me change it up. Let's say public works. I want to find public works architects. Okay, I can search that, and it's going to bring me back all the architects that are working on public works. So there's 111 of them. Again, you can download this as a CSV or a PDF. You can open up the details. So I can go into AECOM details, open up that company profile, and then find out what they're doing, who they're working on, or who they're working with, that kind of thing. So we do have their contact information for a couple of offices here, and here's their active projects. So that's kind of what you can do with the company search. Now the contact search is similar, but you're going to get really great information to upload into your CRM. I'm talking company name, contact name, titles, office phone numbers, mobile phone numbers, direct phone numbers, LinkedIn, email, obviously. So you can come in and look for a specific person, or you can say, I want to look for all of the, let's say, private owners. So this is going to give me the contacts that are assigned to private owner companies, right? So we have the title. So that kind of tells us whether or not they're the right person that we need to talk to, the email, the name, and the company. But when you go to download it as a CSV, this is golden. It's going to give you great info to upload into any CRM. We're talking contacts name, titles, office phones, direct, LinkedIn's, cell phones, emails, company name. I mean, that's gold to put into a CRM system. And that was, if you didn't notice, 1,500 records. So that's pretty damn cool, I think. Okay, so that's the contact search. Now solicitations. Solicitations you can filter, obviously. It defaults to open solicitations only. So for example, if you did want to look at like an awarded one or one that's already closed and you want to see who was awarded it, you have to make sure to either display all or closed and awarded. But for default, it opens to, or it searches for open solicitations. You can filter by request type. Maybe you're looking specifically for CMAR, or let's say you were looking for sub-bid requests. You can do that as well, or RFQs. See if there's any RFQs out right now. Now this RFQ will pick up RFQs for CMAR, RFQs for design build, as well as RFQs for request for qualifications for design. So just keep that in mind. There are more that like have specific design RFQ, but I would do both, because sometimes there's a design gray area that they just add into RFQ. So you can look by market sector. I'm going to leave it open for right now and just see what we get. Search. All right, so here's 21. Now we can check out what's going on here by type. So we know that these are just RFQs, but they could be for anything. We have to look at it specifically. This one is for design. Here's another one for design, a new aquatic center for design. So we have a due date, 9/1, and we have pre-submittal information as well. Let's open one of these up and look at what it looks like. Okay, here's our timeline. Now this transfers over from the actual project, and these little diamonds here indicate like hard deadline dates. So the RFQ was advertised on 7/21. The pre-submittal date was on 8/4. And we have it due on 9/1, and looks like they're doing selection on 9/30. So here's where we estimated design is going to be and construction. Always have contacts. Contacts are mandatory on all solicitations. So you do always have someone to talk to. You can go to the project from here. You can also follow the project from here. Obviously, we have the name. This is what they're looking for. They're looking for architectural design services. So here's the solicitation details. We're looking at a due date, the reference number, the request, the pre-submittal conference. Is it mandatory? Yes. So if I was to pursue this, it wouldn't be a good fit because it was a mandatory pre-submittal meeting and I missed it. But we can keep going just to show you what else is in here. They have the pre-submittal conference information here. And if it's recorded, and I've seen them do this before, they record it. So if it was mandatory, there might be a way to get out of that. I'm not sure, depends on the rules, but at least you can watch it, right? Solicitation schedule. So here's a schedule for you as well. Now, when this closes, we'll grab the firms that submitted on it, and there'll be a list of them here. They'll say, you know, architectural resource team, I'm blanking out, Smith Group, whoever it was. And then on the status here, it'll tell you awarded. So you know it was awarded and you can figure out who won. Here's our solicitation files. So here's the actual request for qualifications. And if there was any other related solicitations, for example, maybe there was a IFB out with this as well, you would notice it was attached to the same project. It would be here. So that kind of sums up the solicitation section. Okay, so those are our searches. That's everything that you can search for within the Databex platform. Now, other things that you can do is actually come up with custom reports. So what that means is that if you're not getting like the exact information that you need out of the database, and you want like to do analytics on something of some kind, you can request a special custom report, and we can definitely accommodate that. Now, there are going to be managers assigned to your account. Some of them, you can have all of yours as managers or just one, but it needs to have at least one. And that's kind of the one who we talk to about adding users and adding people to your company. But you actually have a lot of control of that in your own manager setting or in manager menu. And you can come in and search for users or search for people in your company. You can add a new person to your company. And let's see, I can come in here and actually say, you know what, this guy just left the company. I need to remove his access. So I disable his access, and now he no longer has it. Now that adds an extra license to my account, and I can assign it to a new user. So I can come in here and say, I need to add a new user. And then you can put their contact information in. And then when you do that, let's say I just added Douglas, you say, okay, I want him to be a manager and I'm going to enable access. So now he has that license. And then I want to send him an email to tell him to set up his password. So you got to do that. If you don't send the email, then he can't get that connection to set up his password. So that's kind of how you use the manager settings for new users. You can also see who's been logging in and logging into the platform as well, so you know that it's actually getting the use out of it, because you're going to be paying a pretty penny for this, so you want to make sure it's getting used and utilized. That's how you do it. You check here. You can also check out your company. So I can check out my company, make sure that the information in here is correct. If it wasn't, if there was like, oh, you know what, we actually moved our office, just send us a note. You can request an update. Hey, can you change our office? We moved. Absolutely, we can do that. Any projects that you're on, obviously we don't do the projects. That's not what we do. So we don't have any here, but we have all of our contact information for everyone in the employee, all of our employees. Now I'm going to run back over to here. Contact Bex, this is where you will talk to me. This is my contact information as well as Rebecca's. And we have a help site as well. I'm actually doing a little maintenance on it right now. So I took it down, but it will be back up within a week or so. And we are going to have, it's just filled with a knowledge base, right? It's just knowledge base if you have any questions on how to do something or what the purpose of the interested parties is or whatever. The knowledge base is really good and it'll be up next week. So in my account, all these things that we've talked about are stored in my account. So all of my, all my project notes, my company notes, all the projects that I'm following, my interested parties, my saved searches, these are all saved in my account. If I open up my account link, it's going to give me my profile, right? So I have my profile information. This is my account preferences. This is where you can enable or disable the daily, weekly digest. So remember earlier I talked about saved searches activating that daily digest. If daily is too much and you're like, whoa, I can only handle a little bit at a time, go to weekly and then save it. And that way you get one email a week and you can download everything out of that, or you can take what you need out of that instead of every day. But it's your choice, right? You have options. You can also opt out of receiving shared notes from your team if you want to by unchecking that button. But I want to hear my team and talk to me through this, so I enable it. Notifications is a way for me to communicate to you about bugs or maintenance or new features, anything going on within the database. It's not a marketing notification. It's just for me to say, hey, the site's down, or it's a way for me to say, check out our new feature. So that's all that is. And then you do have an option to change your email notifications. Email. So if you have signed up with your work email, like Rachel@work.com, and you're like, well, actually, I want it to go to marketing@work.com or sales@work.com, you can change it. You still log in with yours, but the notifications will go to a different email. All right, so I hope that kind of sums up everything here. Obviously, you can change your password from here. Now, project notes and company notes, they're pretty much the same thing. It's just keeping track of all the notes that you keep within projects and companies. So here you can see I've got all of the notes that I've left for Hancock at Prasada. I can delete them from here, but you do need to delete them from the project if you don't want them on the project anymore. This just keeps this list clean if you want. Also, same thing with company notes. Now, following's a little different and it's actually pretty cool. So you have a list of all the projects that you're following, right? You have all these sortable, or actually this one's not sortable, but here's the one thing you can do with this. We've enabled you to add a tagging system to all the projects that you're following. So if you wanted to add a tag of like, okay, West Side, I could put all the tags in here by clicking edit. So I'm going to separate West Side from the East Side. So I can say this one is on the East Side. I can update that, and then I can add maybe another one. Maybe this one's on the west side. I just put in a comma, update that, and then I can do it to whatever. It just depends on the system that you use, but whatever system you use, you can say, okay, come in that one day. I want to look for all the projects on the east side because that's where I'm going. You type in the east side and it pops up all the ones that have that tag. Voila. So it's kind of a neat way to organize the projects that you're following within the platform. I've seen it used as a CRM system, which was pretty cool. All right, so that's what you can do with the followed projects. And then interested projects is just a list, again, of the projects that you've expressed interest on, and you can definitely uninterest yourself. You say you're not interested anymore, you can do that from that list too. Now, save searches. Earlier, I told you when you save a search, it triggers your daily digest. If you're not getting what you want out of that search, you can come in here and say, you know, I'm just not getting what I want from that search. I'm going to go in there and change it up a little bit. I'm going to say, I want projects that are in design. Save that. Now it's saved the criteria, and it's going to update any of those criteria or those projects that you get from that search. So that's kind of a neat thing to do here. Now I've gone over all the major features. I wanted to open it up to some questions to see if anybody wanted to speak out or have anything they wanted to search. I do believe everyone has the ability to talk. James, good morning. Any questions? No questions. Are you overwhelmed? Are you still there? Am I by myself?
No questions here, Rachel, but thank you. This is really neat tool.
Great. Okay. Well, then I guess I'll just wrap it up. I see there was a chat note. Oh, okay, looks like Kendra had to step out. Awesome. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining me this morning. It was a pleasure. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Gary if you're in communication with Gary. We're happy to answer any questions you got. Thank you so much.
Thank you.